A warm welcome to You're a Wizard, a magical sleep saga inspired by the world of Harry Potter, where you are the main character. As you take a moment to get comfortable, remind yourself that this is your story, and there are no limits to what you can add to this adventure. Anyone that you meet along the way throughout this saga can be whoever you want them to be. They might be people from your own life, a famous figure that you admire, or a character from the books. So be sure to bring along your own unique imagination. Let your thoughts turn to those of magic, wonder, and adventure as we continue our Harry Potter sleep saga. Pockets of conversation mingle through the group, and an excited buzz is in the air, with students laughing and talking together, predicting what might be in store in your next class. You shuffle along, talking happily with your best friend, both of you recounting every little detail of the unforgettable experience you have just shared. You will always remember your first flight on a broomstick. The group rounds a corner and comes to a stop, arriving at a crooked wooden door that is open just a crack, a golden light pulsing from within. In the next moment, the door creaks open by itself, inviting you inside. One by one, you filter through the door and enter a crooked room outlined with wooden bookshelves. Two-person desks are spread evenly on the floor, and a blackboard stands at the very front. There are 3 huge windows running along the left wall, illuminating the room with a natural glow, where beads of gold dust dance in the sunlight. At the front of the classroom, sitting atop the teacher's table, is the grey and black cat that you remember from last night, guarding the great hall when you first entered the castle. It peers slowly around the students, watching very closely. Even though you've seen it once before, it is still magnificent to witness this cat leap forward and transform as quick as lightning into the now familiar deputy headmistress, who is also your professor. The same stern, cat-like eyes still pervade the room, but you can also sense a contained excitement within the headmistress. She might be just as eager as you to begin your training. You quietly take a seat with your best friend, second row back and perfectly in the middle. With all eyes on her, the professor starts by writing her name on the blackboard before outlining the lesson today. She will start by teaching you the very basics of Transfiguration. You will then be able to practice a simple spell, and finally, she will show you the full potential of this magic at the end of the lesson. After a brief introduction, she calls out, "Quills at the ready first, please." As the professor elaborates on the fundamental principles of transfiguration, the room begins to scribble away, taking notes. Transfiguration is the incredibly complex and difficult art of changing the appearance of an object or a person when more advanced. You could change something as simple as an ink pot into a mighty goblet, or in extreme cases, it has been known for powerful wizards to transfigure entire houses, aeroplanes, or small forests. This, however, takes years upon years of dedication. It is incredibly difficult to master. This is because of the need for absolute accuracy with every spell to avoid problematic complications. Many years ago, she adds, it was used as a substitute to detention, acting as a deterrent to those students wishing to misbehave. However, you will be relieved to know that the school has since stopped this practice, as it was deemed immoral to transfigure naughty students into frogs for an hour. You share a cheeky look with your friend, imagining what they might look like as a little frog, before suppressing a quiet laugh. The professor reiterates to the class just how difficult and potentially dangerous this subject can be when misused. With a raised eyebrow, she emphasizes that anybody caught messing around with spells will be out of her class before they can say transfiguration. Now, if that's all clear, wands at the ready, she calls out. You slowly take your wand from your pocket and twiddle it between your thumb and finger. In front of you now, the professor says, has appeared a crisp brown autumn leaf, fallen fresh this morning. Today you will be changing this leaf into a beautiful pink blossom. Observe. You gaze in wonder as the professor taps her wand against the leaf and speaks the words, "Verto floresco." The edges of the brown leaf begin to curl in on itself as it lifts up into the air. Then, in slow motion, the color fades from brown to a beautiful pastel pink, and the soft petals unfurl one by one, revealing a perfect flower of blossom. With a subtle smile, she turns to the class and invites you all to give it a go. You hold your wand gently as the professor showed you, and you speak the incantation, Verto floresco. You wait a moment, but nothing happens. Then you watch in amazement as your best friend taps their wand confidently, speaking the spell. Instantly, the leaf on their table transforms, spinning by itself from brown to pink, and unfolding into a beautiful blossom. With a new determination, you repeat the spell, Verto floresco, but still nothing happens. Verto floresco. The leaf is not moving. Verto floresco. And then the leaf begins to change. Oh, but instead of a pink blossom, it turns a bright orange, and blue dots appear across the fluorescent leaf. You look to your best friend in a slight panic, worried that you might never get it. Then the professor, who is pacing the aisle, overhears you and approaches with a soft smile and a new kindness in her eyes. "Do not give up," she encourages with a hand on your shoulder. "There isn't a great wizard alive who became that overnight. Failure needn't be as scary as it sounds. It can be a path to success, for without it we cannot hope to learn." She advises you to tighten your grip a little and to be patient with yourself. "You have already proven yourself on a broomstick," she adds with a wink. Then your best friend leans over, reminding you of what you told them during your flying lesson. They have seen all the brilliant things you have accomplished, not only today, but throughout your life. They know what you are capable of, and you are encouraged to think of yourself as they do, for that is your true value. The professor pats your back, telling you to give it another go. With a deep breath, you take a moment to allow any doubt or self-criticism to fall away now. You acknowledge how useless negativity is, and that it only serves to hold us back. You allow a new positivity, self-belief, and motivation to flow through you. And then, wand at the ready, you speak the incantation, Virto Floresco. Your wand pulses in your hand, and a golden bead glows from the tip. The brown autumn leaf lifts into the air, and as it begins to twirl, you watch it transform into a rich pastel pink. One by one, the small pink petals unfold, until at last you are staring at a beautiful blossom flower that is radiating the faintest smell of a spring morning. You notice that you are smiling, and the professor is beaming with pure pride, giving a little round of applause with her fingertips. "Wonderfully done," she tells you, before striding back towards the front of the class. Your best friend puts their arm around you, giving you a proud smile and reminding you how grateful they are to have you with them through all of this. They are quite sure they never would have lifted their broomstick without your encouragement. You return the compliment and acknowledge that without a little help from your friend, you may have just given up on Transfiguration before you even started. At the front of the room, the professor calls the attention of all students. Class is drawing to a close now, but before you go, she wants to show you the wonderful potential of this magic. And with that, she twirls her wand above her head and points it at the thick blackboard. Her forearm jerks, and her wand emits a powerful blue light, swirling around the blackboard. In the next moment, the blackboard begins to fold in on itself, disappearing into the floor. And then you watch, completely awestruck, as enormous tree roots sprout from the floor, and a thick trunk begins to spiral itself up toward the high ceiling. Then, in one magical movement, a vast collection of branches bloom from the top of the tree, and big, beautiful flowers blossom one by one in colors of blue, yellow, purple, and white. These delicate flowers are backed by emerald green leaves that give off a pulsing light and an enchanting radiance. The entire class sits in silence, wide-eyed and utterly speechless. The professor reminds you all that no matter how dark things might get, you can always create something beautiful for yourself. Each and every one of you can achieve this level of magic, she adds, if you only keep inspired. And with a tired smile now, the professor dismisses your class. You take one last look at this magical tree, pulsing with a golden green glow. You are filled with inspiration, a drive to be the best version of you that you can possibly be. And you remind yourself to never give up, despite the difficulties you may face, as these will only help you to grow. As you leave the classroom, side by side with your friend, you realize it is time to visit your gentle giant, ready for your next lesson, care of magical creatures. With a renewed excitement, you wander through the castle halls and out of a large wooden door. You are met by the mid-afternoon sun beaming down on you. There is the sound of autumn birds chirping in the distance as they dart across the sky, and a gentle breeze drifts across your face. On the far side of the lake, near the entrance of the forbidden forest, is the giant's hut. You can see your big friend shuffling nervously, preparing for his next class, and you ponder what magic might be in store for you now, under the guidance of your gentle giant. And then your thoughts suddenly turn to Daphne, the little house elf who helped you this morning. You cannot help but smile, thinking of your new friend, wondering how her day has been, and you hope to see her again soon. You arrive at a small clearing just outside the stone hut of the giant, where more and more students begin to gather, with a quiet anticipation in the air. A huge black dog, a Great Dane sleeps on the steps of the hut, his paw twitching as he dreams away his lazy afternoon. Just then, the giant calls for attention and gives you a quick smile before addressing the class, instructing you all to follow his lead. He explains en route that for the first part of the lesson today, you will be taking care of a very special but currently endangered magical creature that lives on the borders of the forest. The giant reiterates the importance of not going into the forest itself. You will go in together soon, but not today. It's known as the Forbidden Forest for a reason, he adds. You arrive instead at a cluster of smaller trees on the very edge of the forest. Already you can feel a powerful radiance coming from the dark depths of the woodland. The Forbidden Forest is calling out to you. The giant snaps his fingers, bringing the focus back to him. Then he gently taps his knuckles against the little tree in front of you. In that moment, a collection of tiny eyes peep out from the nooks and crannies in the bark of the tree, gazing out with innocence and wonder. Then comes a flurry of furry feet carrying little round bodies across the tree trunk. These fluffy animals, no bigger than a strawberry, are pulsing in colours of yellow, green, purple, or blue. You notice that their stomachs glow in a whirlpool of gold, giving off a soft, heavenly light. The reason for this, the giant explains, is a little-known magical herb called aurum folium, a plant that gives off a unique golden glow, and when ingested, provides these little animals with a warm golden light in the pit of their stomach that looks especially beautiful at night. The herb grows deep within the forest and is eaten by only one other animal, the firefly. These delightful furry creatures hop around in a sleepy daze, giving little yawns and almost tripping over themselves. The danger for these little creatures, the giant tells you, is that they're always in a state of being half asleep, unaware of potential threat, and so they have been chased off by other animals and pushed to the very edge of the forest. They can only survive in the bark of enchanted trees, so now it's up to him and the rest of you to feed and care for them, so that they may continue to live and grow happily. He collects the fluffy animals now on his huge palm and forearm, and tells you all to take one each, if you will. One of the little creatures, the smallest of the bunch, is gazing up at you with innocent eyes, begging you to pick them. You cannot resist their charm, and you take them up in your hands, already thinking of a name for your new friend. Their soft fur sends a beautiful tingle across your palms, and their glowing tummy seems to radiate a warmth now that passes through your entire body, and you are washed with a peaceful comfort. You share a smile with your best friend who is chuckling away at their own fluffy animal that appears to be tickling their hands. In the next moment, the giant hands you a small vial of gold liquid, and the little ball of fluff in your hand seems to know exactly what this is. It begins to hop on both feet and brushes itself against your palm, eager for dinner. The giant tells you that this is the aurum folium leaf, ground into a fine gold dust and mixed with water so as to be easily digested by the animals. With your new furry friend in one hand and the golden vial in the other, you begin to feed them slow and steady as they take the vial in their mouth and gulp away in a sleepy bliss. You realize how wonderful it feels to give back and to take care of this tiny creature that truly needs your help. Despite our own difficulties, the giant says, there is a real purpose to be found in helping others, especially those less fortunate. You enjoy this precious moment and resolve to take this beautiful feeling with you wherever you go and to lead your life with love. As the tiny glowing ball of fluff in your hand gulps its last drop of elixir, they flop backwards, feet in the air, and begin to snore as quiet as a dormouse. The gentle giant watches on proudly, giving a low chuckle and congratulating each and every one of you for taking to this so well. He instructs you now, when you are ready, to place these animals back into their little homes in the tree. You take your new friend, now fast asleep, and give them one last stroke on the head. You lift them back up into the tree, putting them safely inside a deep, cozy nook. You watch their tiny tummy lift and drop in total bliss as you leave them now to enjoy their rest. The giant tells you all that you can come back any time and visit these little creatures whenever you like. One last treat, he calls out, before you go, and with that he gives a low whistle aimed deep into the forest. And what you are about to experience will stay with you forever. Right before your eyes, galloping from the wood, appears a beautiful white unicorn, glistening with stardust in its mane. It gives off its own magical aura that illuminates the tree line. The entire group gasps, and you are utterly speechless. The unicorn stops next to the giant, fluttering its tail and bowing its head. There is something so wondrous about this creature. They hold a deep, powerful magic within them and have been a guardian of this land for 1,000 years. Your gentle giant introduces her as Olwen, queen of all unicorns in the forest, and his very dear friend. And just then, this magical unicorn looks directly at you. Your stomach flutters with butterflies as Olwen gently scrapes her hoof on the floor and bows her head to you. You return the bow, and the rest of your class takes a step back. Your best friend squeezes your arm, urging you to go forward. You take a slow step and hold your arm out in front of you. Keep your palm up, the giant whispers. Let her come to you. You stop and take a deep breath, trying to show Olwen that you mean her no harm. And then, in a slow, shuffling step, this majestic unicorn edges closer and closer, until at last her soft head brushes against the palm of your hand, and you gently stroke her head and scratch behind her ears. She moves her head over your shoulder, and you embrace Olwen now, holding her tight around her chest as she rests her head upon your back. You breathe as one with this magical unicorn, and already you can feel her powers of healing at work. You feel the warmth of her heart relaxing each and every muscle in your body now, filling you with hope, comfort, and a deep, deep love. Olwen will protect you now and guide your way. She will help you to heal and to let go of any burdens that weigh you down, allowing you to be free, confident, and most of all, happy. You feel completely safe, and you know that everything will be okay. In the next moment, the giant picks you up and places you gently on Olwen's back as she flicks her head up in excitement. Now, the giant says with a smile, "Hold on tight." And with that, he gives Olwen a gentle tap, and she begins to trot down towards the lake, carrying you effortlessly on her back as you gently hold around her chest, an unstoppable smile beaming on your face. Behind you, the gaggle of students fades out of sight, and you lean over to Olwen and whisper a heartfelt thank you. You cannot believe that she picked you, but you are so glad that she did. It's as if you are gliding over a huge, soft cloud, with the cool breeze tracing your skin and the beautiful Olwen carrying you all the way around this enormous lake. You have never felt more free in your entire life. To your right, you see the majestic castle standing high and proud, backed by the late afternoon sun. In the next moment, your eyes widen with amazement as in front of you, out of thin air, appears the little house elf, Daphne. she sits atop Olwen and turns her head to you, a huge smile on her face. Her big, round eyes gaze up at you in wonder as her ears flap gently with the steady gallop. Daphne tells you that every chance she had today, she has been checking in on you, watching from afar. She admits to hiding at the back of your class during Transfiguration and watching from the bushes as you flew your first broomstick. And after witnessing your beautiful connection with Olwen, she couldn't resist surprising you. Daphne goes on to tell you just how proud she is of all that you have achieved today. She has seen just how resilient you can be, how kind, passionate, and motivated you are, and how excited she is for your future. Then her voice softens, and she reminds you that she will always be there for you whenever you need her, and that she is so lucky to call you her friend. Your arms wrap around her tummy as you ride, and you whisper to her that you couldn't wish for a better guardian, and that you are so grateful to have met her. Daphne responds by squeezing your arm tight, and you feel 1 or 2 teardrops fall on your hand. Together you gallop around the glistening lake and share an infectious laughter as you enjoy each other's wonderful company and celebrate the beautiful Olwen, who is taking you for the ride of your life. You enjoy this moment of pure bliss and remind yourself how grateful you are for all those who are special to you. As you round the end of the lake, bathing in the low sun, Olwen steers to your right and heads back towards the giant's hut. Before you arrive, Daphne politely invites you to meet her by the lake after class for a sunset picnic. And be sure to bring your friend, she adds. You accept without hesitation, and with a click of her fingers, she disappears once again into thin air. As Olwen brings herself to a slow canter and enters the clearing, you are met with a collection of beaming smiles. Your gentle giant lifts you off the unicorn and announces that class is dismissed. As the students drift off back to the castle, you turn and give Olwen one final stroke, whispering to her that you hope to meet again soon. She ruffles her head on your arm before galloping off back into the forbidden forest. Just then, your best friend races up to you, giving you a warm hug, telling you how incredible that was to witness. You squeeze them tight and tell them of Daphne's invitation. Your friend gives a wide smile, excited to finally meet the lovely little elf. The gentle giant clears his throat, and as you turn to look at him, he holds out his huge arms with a proud, mischievous smile. As he pulls you in to a warm embrace, he tells you that Olwen has never taken to a student before, and that letting you ride her was actually a bit of a spontaneous decision. You thank him with all your heart for the most magical memory that you will never forget. You invite the giant to join you for your evening picnic, and with a sheepish smile, surprised to have been asked, he gladly accepts, and the three of you wander off down towards the lake that is now pulsing with a golden shimmer, backed by the majestic castle.